Okay, students, so this is going to be the last day of trigonometry, angle, elevation, depression, phase 2. So still just talking about trig and looking at some other things, so on and so forth. So a teacher asked Dwayne to find the value of x and y in the triangle below. The teacher provides the following information about the triangles. Triangle ABC is similar to PQR. So let's stop for a second. That means that angles are congruent, so angle C and angle R are congruent. Obviously, B and Q, they're both right angles, and then those two angles will also be congruent. So remember, in a similar triangle, angles are congruent, sides are proportional. All right. Then they also say cosine of angle C. Cosine of angle C, so that means cosine of angle C. Well, naturally, that's just x over 20, because that's adjacent and hypotenuse. That equals 0.92. So whatever x is, it makes the thing 0.92. Well, remember, since sides are proportional and trig is a whatever you call it, we have trig because of proportional triangles. Cosine of angle R would be 45 over y. That would also have to be 0.92. All right. Trig ratios are sides proportions or side ratios that dictate angle measures. All right, so we just kind of reviewed some stuff based off the information the teacher gave. Dwayne claims that the values of x and y can be determined, but the information provided is not sufficient to find the value of y. Which statement about Dwayne's claim is accurate? All right. So Dwayne claims that the value of x can be determined, but the information provided is not sufficient to find the value of y. He claims is correct because cosine of C is 20 over x. Well, we already know this is wrong because cosine of C is not 20 over x, it's x over 20. It's adjacent over hypotenuse. So we already know this one's wrong because it doesn't even have the right trig function. All right. His claim is correct because cosine of angle C is x over 20 and 0.92 being substituted for 0.9 can be substituted for cosine C, but the cosine of angle R is not given for triangle PQR. All right, this one's a little bit in doubt. Let's put a question mark right next to that. That's a question mark, a weird looking question mark. All right, again, this next one, his claim is incorrect. Again, that's the wrong thing. That's the wrong trig function, because again, it's adjacent over hypotenuse. And then the last one, his claim is correct because, okay, we have the right trig function. Cosine of C is x over 20. 0.92 becomes substituted for cosine of C, and since the triangles are similar, the ratio will be the same for 45 over y. That's the true one, all right? Again, similar triangles, all right, we can set up proportional, their proportionality. Same with the trig ratios, they're proportional. So it's that one that's correct, all right? So this is a crazy problem, but why I picked it is because if you're taking a standardized test or an error test, realize that you can just eliminate 2 answers out of this crazy problem because the trig functions or the trig ratios are written incorrectly. So really you can narrow this question down to just B or D. And if you can just read and have some fundamental understanding of trig, you got at least a 50-50 shot of getting this problem right. All right, so now some word problems. All right, a dog climbed up a 20-foot tree in search of treats. At an angle of depression of 37 degrees, he spotted a treat. So remember, that means the dog looked straight out and then down. That's how you determined. All right. And it's a 20-foot tree. So this dog is 20 feet off the ground. The tree got cut off in the picture, though. All right, so that's 20 feet. And what it's asking is, what is the distance the dog will have to jump to get the treat? All right, what is the direct distance? So it's asking for the dog jumped. What's this distance right here? That's what we gotta find. And again, a couple ways to do this problem. The way I like to do it is just transfer this height of this tree over here, and say now this is 20. And then we have this right triangle to focus on. And then, so really now we can look at things and realize, well, we have the hypotenuse and the opposite side of angle 37. So really this is just going to be sine 37 equals opposite 20 over hypotenuse, which is x. In this case right here, the variable's in the denominator. That's okay, it's just going to require slightly more work. Cross multiply. Realize when you cross multiply, you don't get a fraction. I've seen students try to write it as a fraction. That's bad. When you cross multiply, it's going to equal and you plug that in your calculator and you get 33.2. Okay, so that's a word problem right there. Another word problem: a raccoon is swimming in the Atlantic Ocean, spots a flying rhinoceros over his head. He's looking at the flying rhinoceros at an angle elevation of 71 degrees. So let's pause. Remember, it's always you look straight out first and then up. So he's looking at an angle of elevation of 71 degrees. All right. The rhino is 27 meters above the ocean. All right. How far apart are the rhino and the raccoon? All right. So it's once this distance right here. That's what we're searching for, x. All right. So really we have this right triangle to focus on. So again, this one turns out to be another sine problem. We're going to have sine of 71 opposite 27 hypotenuse x. So very similar to the last one, but that's okay. Cross multiply, you're going to get x sine 71 equals 27. Divide both sides by sine 71. You're going to x equals 27 divided by sine 71, which is about 28.6. All right. And then a mouse is playing baseball and he looks up to the crowd at an angle elevation of 12 degrees. So straight out, then up. Angle of elevation is 12 degrees. All right. And he sees that they're selling blocks of cheese. All right. So here's the cheese he sees. All right. The cheese is 45 feet off the ground. So we'll just keep it simple and say this is 45 feet right here. What is the horizontal distance? So we want this distance right here that he must go to get the cheese. All right, the mouse wants the cheese. How far does he have to go horizontally? Well, this one is opposite and adjacent, so this is going to be tangent of angle 12 equals opposite 45 over x. So we just saw a case where all the variables were, not all, was it? All the variables were in the denominator. That's okay. I think it's slightly more tricky, but it's not too bad. It's just really cross multiplying, and then you have to end up just dividing the trig function at the end. So it's almost just like one more step. So x is about 45 divided by 10 over 12, 211. Ooh, so this cheese is far away, 0.7 feet. Okay, stay tuned.